And welcome back to Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290 CJBK on this Saturday afternoon. We are joined here on the program right now by our longtime real estate expert, Joan Ball from Royal LePage, Triland Realty. You can go to Joan's website, joanball.com, and you can call her up at any time, 519-672-9880. We welcome to the program, Joan Ball. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well, Ryan. Expecting a busy fall and just getting geared up for that, but doing very well.
Excellent. And did the summer, well, I know summer's still here, but we're into September now. Did it go fast for you like it did? At least it seemed to for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know where it went. It just zipped by. I think a lot of people, from evidence of the market slowing down in July, certainly took the opportunity with some nice weather to take time off, even from home searching. August has been picking up a bit.
Okay.
So we'll see how the fall sort of fares out, but I do expect it'll be somewhat busier.
Joan Ball on Ask the Experts with us on News Talk 1290, CJBK from Royal LePage, Triland Realty. Maybe give us a bit of a recap, Joan, your own analysis in terms of market update.
Yeah, it's really interesting to stay focused on the trends and the stats and really recognize what's selling and percentages and how that's having an impact for the buyers and definitely on the sellers. We are into a buyer's market. We are currently a buyer's market. So as much as I'm starting to see some properties move again, July was a very slow month, a huge adjustment from our peak, which was last March at 94% of offers going over list price by an average of 140,000. Now looking at in July stats, where 36% were over list price by an average of 32,000. So more than $100,000 lower on overage, and certainly a huge adjustment as far as the number of offers that went over list price. So that in turn has created a scenario where there's many more properties on the market for buyers to look at, and buyers are being somewhat selective, and we're seeing conditions in offers again, which we hadn't seen for quite some time, and even conditions on the sale of another house, on a buyer's house, which I haven't seen those for probably 3 to 4 years. So
Wow.
we've definitely adjusted our market.
Can you briefly explain, Joan, and I saw it recently on your website at joanball.com. If you click on for buyers on the left-hand column on your homepage, you actually explain it quite well, and people can go to get a more in-depth explanation. But when you say buyer's market, what does that mean for the average person?
So when you think of the list to sale ratio, so how many properties in a given month are listing, coming onto the market, and then how many have sold, and what is the gap there? Are there more properties coming on the market than are selling? That's certainly the case. So we've had many more properties coming onto the market, sitting on the market, than actual sales. And when you have that adjust itself quite dramatically, and it's really that 40-60%. You know, if there's more listings than there are sales to a percentage, then it becomes a buyer's market. And adversely, last February, March, even January and December of last year, we were seeing many, many more sales than actual properties coming onto the market. And that became tighter and tighter and tighter through 21 and into 2022. So that's what created that frenzy. We had a lot of investors that were coming from out of town. That was creating an imbalance in more buyers than there were sellers. And now we have turned that around.
Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290. CJBK, our real estate expert from Royal LePage, Triland Realty. You can reach Joan at 519-672-9880, joanball.com, the website address. In a perfect world, is a balanced market the best, Joan?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I consider a balanced market the ideal scenario for any client because it doesn't favor anyone.
Right.
It favors, it really makes an even playing field, and buyers have lots to choose from, and sellers are certainly able to recognize a decent return for their investment. So it just seems fair for everybody.
Can you give us a quick update, Joan, if you don't mind, on where we stand with interest rates? Are we expected to see them rise again too?
Yes, I expect that September 7th, there's going to be another announcement that 50 basis points to a full percent may be the increase. I do think that going into next year, we will see things settle down a bit. I think it's certainly having the impacts that they wanted to have in, sort of hedging off inflation a bit. And I do think that in 2023, we'll see those interest rates adjust themselves a little bit more so in the favorable side.
And just if you can touch on this as well, Joan, because over the last couple of years, we talked about it, people coming from outside of this market, particularly the GTA, purchasing homes, whether it was for their primary residence or for an investment. Have those numbers begun to dwindle as well?
Well, we certainly see some investors coming into town, but here's what happens. When the prices get up to where they're quite competitive and, certainly I think that it does increase or decrease the likelihood that the investors are going to see as much of a return on investment. They were looking at huge increases owning a property and recognizing the market increasing substantially, and also the rentals, what they can accommodate for a rental to cover that mortgage. As prices increase, it becomes a little bit more challenging to be able to cover those costs, monthly costs for a particular property. But we're still seeing some investors. I think some of the multi-unit dwellings are certainly still seeing some attention, but we're not to the same degree that we were.
It just dawned on me, it popped into my head, Joan. I'll ask you this, and it goes back, I don't know, maybe a couple of decades, the first time I heard you say this, but you used to use the term fairly often, location, location, location. Does that still ring true in today's market?
Absolutely. That's why they say it 3 times.
Okay.
There's 3 things that when we consider real estate: location, condition, and price.
Okay.
And those are the 3 things. You can modify or, sort of research within those 3 pillars, but those are the 3 pillars of real estate. And location will always have an overriding factor because you can't do you can do something about condition. And you can, maybe you're well-heeled enough to absorb some of the price. But location, you can't do anything about. Right. You're stuck with that. And so it will have an overriding impact on your investment.
Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290 CJBK, our real estate expert from Royal LePage, Triland Realty. You can reach Joan at any time, 519-672-9880, and visit the website, always informative, joanball.com. Before the break, Joan, just ask you quickly as well, that has to do with just looking ahead. You did touch on, as we get toward the end of the year, that type of thing. I mean, as we look to 2023, and yes, I know we don't have the crystal ball, but things will kind of settle out, do you think, and we'll be in for a bit of a smoother ride for all involved?
There's so many underlying factors that are at play here that it's very difficult to do an accurate assessment of the market. The war in Ukraine will continue to have an impact on us. The pandemic, where we end up with that, some of the other health issues that are cropping up and perhaps needing vaccines. So, I think it's safe to say that we have a healthy market. We have certainly swung into a buyer's market, which I think will balance itself out a bit more in 2023. So I think we just ride that a bit, and obviously the stock market will have an impact, and that may generate some individuals taking some of those funds and investing in real estate, wanting to diversify their portfolio and have a tangible product. So I think we'll just sort of flatline a bit and ride it out for 2023. I don't see any huge adjustments in 2023.
Excellent. Joan Ball on Ask the Experts here on Newstalk 1290 CJBK on this Saturday afternoon. And we'll pause for some important messages, return with our real estate expert, Joan Ball from LePage, Triland Realty, right after these. And welcome back to Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290 CJBK. Our real estate expert, Joan Ball, here on the program today. And Joan, I don't mean to embarrass you or anything, but I was reading some of the testimonials, and I love this one that's on your website. I don't even know if I've clicked on the testimonials before, and I've been checking out your website regularly for years, but I love this one. Joan is more than a sales representative. She becomes a trusted friend. She walked us through a process we knew nothing about and found us the perfect home. And this is the kicker. I like this. I wish there was a Joan Ball available for every service in life. I won't say the names. I do know those involved, which was pure coincidence, but I wish there was a Joan Ball available for every service in life. How nice is that?
Yeah, that is really wonderful, and that's really the goal, is that I can create a platform to be an information broker, so that people can make an educated decision. And that I've always seen that as my role, not to tell people what to do, just to simply give them the information and they make an educated decision. And hopefully that information stays with them forever.
Amazing. Joan Ball here on the program today on Newstalk 1290 CJBK. Just want to see if you can help somebody out. Talking to a friend of mine just this past week, they recently sold their home. They've got about 2.5 months before the closing date. And I was asked if I could ask you if there's anything to keep in mind. Should they be starting a checklist, some tips maybe that you have, Joan, for those that are in that situation? And I'm going to say, I guess you can correct me if I'm wrong, but 2.5 months, that's a good starting base to make sure you start planning now. What do you say to people in that situation?
So they're closing in 2.5 months? They've already sold?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So there's a number of things. I mean, certainly my team, we do distribute to my clients a checklist of what to do 2 months out, what to do 6 weeks out, what to do 4 weeks out, that kind of thing. And, obviously, just sort of itemize those things, obviously contacting the utilities, ensuring that your insurance company knows the switchover date, your mortgage company, obviously touching base with your lawyer and making sure your lawyer has your contact information, and then just planning out what are those things you have to clear out. A lot of people may not take everything with them when they move, so what are those things that they want to maybe even sell? I've used MaxSold a fair bit. MaxSold.com is a great resource. It's an online auctions resource, especially for estates or where there's a lot of stuff to sell, and they come in and take photographs and we'll sell it online. So, and getting things like freezers cleared out or old appliances that you won't be taking, getting them taken away, get working at it. And really, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? No insult to elephants. I love elephants, but one bite at a time. Just take it a day at a time and just do a little bit every day. And I'm a big lists and systems kind of person, so make sure you have those systems in place so that you're ready to go. And I also say pack a laundry tub full of, or a laundry basket full of items you'll need right up until closing. Toilet paper, paper towel, forks and knives, all those little things that you can just put in there on the day of, so that then you've got those supplies to move to the new house and be able to at least function for the first day.
Great idea, yes, and great tips there. That's very helpful. And if you're using the services of a moving company or even, I guess, just renting a moving van, Joan, would you suggest booking that as soon as you can?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a flurry of activity. So if you want a specific date, even before you're sold, you can touch base with them, find out what their fees are, know who you're going to use, give them an idea of your closing date range so that you actually can negotiate that into your contract, and maybe they might even be willing to put a temporary hold on it for you. So take care of those things. It really makes it's important. And also send out your moving cards. We do an electronic moving card for clients so they can email it to everybody, just to let them know what their new address is.
Excellent. Are you a proponent, Joan, of, and maybe this is just an obvious and everybody is, when you get to the new home, changing the locks and keys?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You have no idea how many keys are out there and who has those keys. I think that's a really important feature, security feature, it's amazing how many people don't do this.
Okay. Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290 CJBK from Royal LePage, Triland Realty. You can reach Joan at 519-672-9880, joanball.com, the website address. Got a question here in the mailbag, Joan. Susie and Ken have a question. We are downsizing and not sure if now is the right time as the real estate market is adjusting. Can your expert help with some direction?
So I always study the stats in as far as if you're selling and you're downsizing. Everybody's a bit different, but they may want to find where they're going first, be able to identify what is that location that will work best for them. Sometimes it's just getting a sense of that rather than securing a purchase before they put their property on the market. Statistically, also studying time of year. When is the best time to put your property on the market for the highest and best return? And, that really, you have to look at not just what you're purchasing, but looking at that sales component. So for some people, it may be the fall. It may be, I usually say that July and December are the months to steer away from when you're trying to sell, just because everybody's busy with other things, life, the holidays, and getting ready for Christmas if you happen to be, celebrating Christmas. But I think it's really important to identify a professional that can help you with the process. For example, if somebody is going to list in March or April of next year, which is usually a very active and the sort of number one target time frame to list a property, then I would want to have some exterior summertime photos taken now and keep them available so you have them, so you can give representation without the snow, so people can actually see what it would look like, because next March it'll all be covered probably with snow. So there's a number of things to keep in mind, but I think timing can be best evaluated by looking at what your specific needs are and where you're thinking of going, and having those needs identified as readily as possible.
Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290 CJBK. Joan with the Royal LePage, Triland Realty. She is our real estate expert here on Newstalk 1290, and you can reach her at 519-672-9880, joanball.com, the website address. Here on Ask the Experts, we will return with more with Joan Ball on Newstalk 1290 right after these. And welcome back to Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290 CJBK. Our real estate expert, Joan Ball, with us today on the program from Royal LePage, Triland Realty, 519-672-9880. Home inspectors, are they back into the picture these days, Joan?
Yeah, I'm seeing some home inspections, not overly, surprisingly enough. I'm seeing conditions starting to certainly generate themselves within agreement of purchase and sale. But, many of the home inspectors got other jobs, so some of them are a bit busy now because they are few and far between, but we'll see more people come into that industry as as the market continues to be a little softer.
Yep, gotcha. Joan Ball here on the program. This one I'm interested in, Joan. Don and Lucy have a question. What are the things buyers are looking for in their resale homes? We want to renovate for the biggest bang for the buck when we sell next spring. So they're looking ahead. Can you help them?
Yeah, and this is really, getting someone who has some design expertise into a home, if you're considering a renovation, is just a must. And kitchens and bathrooms are always going to be your two biggies. However, I will say since the start of the pandemic, backyards and sort of a spa retreat kind of ambiance has certainly taken root and become also a factor because people are spending a little bit more time closer to home. So, the kitchens are essential, and there are trends that will be timeless. So, making sure that you stay within those trends would be ideal. It just gives you a little bit more longevity. If you tend to stay a little bit longer in your house, then it'll be just as saleable. But having updated bathrooms and kitchens and flooring can be important as well, making sure that hard surfaces are really the go-to for a lot of people. And still some people like carpeted bedrooms, but lower levels for the most part, I would say stay with a quality flooring surface in the lower level as well.
When you talk about backyards too, Joan, and yes, some people have a resort-like setting in their backyards. You've given tips in the past, though, too, on some inexpensive ways to spruce up your home because we are visual. We like to see things look nice and pretty. And if you are selling your home, there are simple ways. You've even talked at end-of-season sales, almost like at a garden center, to get some nice, colorful flowers to maybe decorate a little bit to spruce things up.
Yeah, this time of year is really interesting. If you're redoing a garden and you're wanting a landscaper to come in and just sort of change up and give you a different look, this time of year can be tremendously beneficial because many of the garden centers will have their plants, their perennials on sale. And so you can pick up a fair number at a greatly discounted rate, and then when next spring comes, plant them now. But then when the spring comes after the winter, it will really take root significantly, and they'll be all ready to go. So I always say, if you're going to spend money on the garden, look at your redesign in the fall so that you take advantage of those savings.
Great advice. Joan Ball here on Newstalk 1290 CJBK. Time for one more question, Joan. Just have about a minute and a half. Brian wants to know, what is the average days on market in the current market?
Yeah, so it's really important to recognize that we have seen a significant adjustment in that. And I'm seeing about 60 days on market as average right now, believe it or not. In some areas, and it depends on the residential focus, it may be down to 45, but we were in January, February, March, I think about 10 days on the market was average, 10 to 15 days. So that's a huge adjustment. And so when you're putting a property on the market, make sure you address those issues that need attention. I would do a little bit of redesign to give it a clean, purged look and present it in its best light. And curb appeal is always important when you're listing a property.
Joan Ball here on Newstalk 1290 CJBK. I don't know how you pack so much information into a short period of time, Joan, but once again, you have succeeded in doing just that. Such great information, and we appreciate it. Joan Ball, our real estate expert from Royal LePage, Triland Realty, 519-672-9880. And visit the website. Lots of great information there as well. JoanBall.com. Thank you, Joan. As always, appreciate you taking the time. And our listeners can also listen to you every day with your Real Estate Matters features. And we will talk to you again on Ask the Experts in 2 weeks. You have yourself a great weekend.
You as well. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you. Joan Ball here on Newstalk 1290 CJBK. Again, you can reach Joan at any time, 519-672-9880, joanball.com, the website address. Stay tuned here on Ask the Expert.